Last month, lessons at a school on the Isle of Man were suspended after a drag queen told 11-year-olds that there were 73 genders. And now a mother has claimed her transgender teenage daughter, who now identifies as a boy, was influenced by sex education lessons. And this is really the bit that I'm keen to drill down on, people, because she told The Telegraph that she thinks that gender dysphoria is the new anorexia for girls. And I think this is going to be of vital importance to anyone out there watching now who's got kids or thinking of having kids. Joining me is Helen Joyce, who's the director of the Advocacy at Sex Matters. Is gender dysphoria the new anorexia for girls?
In part, yes. Until about 10 years ago, there weren't really teenage girls who said that they identified as boys or as anything else. It wasn't something that affected teenage girls, and now that's the group that it affects most. We also know that's a group that's prone to social contagion, you know, not just anorexia, but cutting and self-harming. These things are suggested in friendship groups, they're suggested in online forums. Both of those things are true for gender dysphoria, but unfortunately, gender dysphoria is also taught in schools. They don't mean to be teaching it, but when they tell children that what makes you a boy or a girl is how you feel, and you should examine yourself and your feelings and your behaviours and decide whether you're a boy or a girl based on that, and that it's nothing to do with your biology, they are teaching children who feel ill at ease in their bodies for maybe other reasons, you know, for example, like being autistic spectrum or, you know, just being unusual, just being sad, lonely, anything. They're teaching those children that the solution may be something to do with this nebulous idea of gender. We've never seen this before, that basically a socially created illness is being sold in schools by teachers, as well as by peer groups, as well as by the medical profession, as well as on online sites where children congregate. So we're seeing really a perfect storm of spreading this idea.
That is really fascinating and, for want of a better phrase, entirely man-made in your view.
Yeah, I do think so. I think there are people who would feel ill at ease in their bodies anyway without it being suggested to them, but far fewer than we are seeing now. And the figures and the demography, this rise of teenage girls is so suggestive of a social contagion.
Well, and I just really want to drill down in this because look, I obviously was never a teenage girl, although these days, presumably, I could just cosplay as one and make loads of money on social media, but there we go. But yes, they are, in your view, or in terms of just evidence, I suppose, more susceptible to social trends. So, a variety of different things. And anorexia, I believe, was a massive trend, probably is still a huge problem with teenage girls, I would have thought. And the concern is that gender dysphoria, being taught that maybe they were born into the wrong body, is dropped into their minds at a very vulnerable age by a school system that thinks it might be doing them a favour and be being nice, is then backed up by a medical community, backed up by social media, backed up by a lot of people who think that people should be cancelled if they don't think that that is the right view, and potentially even backed up by things like the fashion industry, which now appears to be literally advertising. I saw an advert on the Tube the other day for someone who'd had a double mastectomy, for example. So you think it is a perfect storm for young girls, and maybe parents out there should be watching and just thinking, look, your daughter could be vulnerable here.
Absolutely. And I don't think that parents can solve this on their own, because unfortunately, by the time you realise that your child is being caught up in this, that child has already spent months basically self-indoctrinating online and with friendship groups. And the things that you say to your child will sound like negativity, rejecting them, but also like you're backward and bigoted. So when you say things like, look, there are only two sexes, your child isn't primed to hear you. Your child is primed to hear, you're a girl, you must stay in the kitchen, girls can never achieve anything. You know, they don't hear what you're actually saying. They hear what they've been told people, older people who are backward people are about to say.
Have you seen some of those videos online as well of, there's a guy who I won't name, who sits there, stares straight down the camera and goes, your parents are wrong. You need to go no contact with your parents. Excuse me?